This is a video for eeghand. Essentially, the idea for this project was to control a robotic arm with a EEG sensor. But in lieu of having a robotic arm, we kind of just made a model in Unity, a graphics model. And it's really just sort of a proof of concept that, so we just did three basic gestures, and that's controlled with your brain waves. So to get the brain waves in, we use this Muse brain sensing headband here, and funnel that in, process it, and then control the Unity model with that. So the algorithm we use is dynamic time warping. This allows us to give gestures over time to control the individual hand. The idea is that if you didn't have a hand of your own, or if you didn't have full range of motion or something, you'd be able to do gestures with just thinking about the actual gestures themselves, like going through the motion, and then the remote robotic arm would actually do the gesture. So the software stack here is sort of complicated. This Muse was supposed to come with a SDK that's advertised on the website. It wasn't until it came in and you go through to download the SDK that it says it only works with the previous model. So I have to use a little third-party app that reads the raw brainwaves, sends it via OSC to a little Muse Lab program that processes it, and that gets sent to a Python script we wrote that's also our feature extractor. So, I should mention that the feature that we're extracting is simply the mean of several different readings, because the idea is to reduce noise on the brainwave sensor. Each individual signal is extremely noisy, so if a sample at any point in time is not necessarily indicative of the gesture you want to do. So averaging them over time gives much better control over the different triggers from the dynamic time warping algorithm. So then it goes from the Python script, it goes into Wekinator, and that's running the DTW. And then depending on whichever gesture threshold is crossed, that gets sent to the Unity script, which reads the output, and depending on which gesture, it animates one of three specific gestures on the hand. And the hand was also a model that was purchased, so I'll give a demo. This is a pretty sensitive system, so it might not be completely smooth. One major problem that would be going forward to fix this would be to smooth it out. So when the threshold gets crossed and it sends that message to Unity, it seems to bombard Unity with it, and Unity will eventually animate each time. So it gets really hard to break up the individual gestures. But that would be the next step. But this might take a second too, because the sensors have to get aligned. And we can see now that it's reading my brain waves. And so if I go like this, it should give one gesture. If I go like this, it should give a different gesture. And if I move my head up and down, it should give a third gesture. I believe that one's flipping the bird. So if you want to, me too. Okay. Oh, that's because I moved my head. When filming the first part of the video, that you couldn't actually see the model, so this is a screencast just to show the actual model working while I give the gestures. So I'll go ahead and start it. You should see three different gestures here. First one should be my left hand squeezing. Second one should be my right hand squeezing, and they're getting a little mixed up. And then the third should be my head bending. There we go. And that's about it. The again, the it's pretty noisy, and it keeps sending the like when the particular gesture threshold's been crossed in the DTW, it sends a bunch of messages, and then Unity gets a little confused. That's something I would need to work on. All right.